Hello, how are you today? Fine, I hope. Today, we're going to study prepositions and phrasal verbs. But there are so many prepositions and so many verbs that we won't be able to look at all of them. However, we are going to look at the most important ones, those you use often in your essays, and we'll try to understand the meaning of some prepositions. All right? Good. Les prépositions sont ces petits mots, at, in, for, qui relient un verbe à un complément. Dans les phrasal verbs, les verbes à particules, la particule modifie le sens du verbe. Par exemple, break signifie casser, mais break down signifie s'effondrer ou bien tomber en panne. First of all, I'd like to make a comparison between your native tongue, French, and the language you've been studying for a few years now, English. Why? Because as you will see in a few seconds, some verbs are followed by a preposition in one language but not in the other, and vice versa. For instance, look at the following examples of verbs followed by a preposition in English but not in French. Look, listen, wait, approve, disapprove. Donc fais bien attention, parce que si certains verbes sont suivis d'une préposition dans une des deux langues, ils ne le sont pas forcément dans l'autre. If the verb is followed by a complement, and only if it is followed by a complement, you have to use a preposition. For example, look, listen, wait. Ces verbes sont à l'impératif. Il n'y a pas de complément, donc pas de préposition. Mais au contraire, look at the man over there. I'm looking for my keys. Listen to me. We've been waiting for you for 2 hours. We don't approve of her attitude. Note that all the verbs meaning look usually take the preposition at. To glance at, to stare at. Let's see now the verbs which are not followed by a preposition in English, whereas they are in French. The most common are ask, answer, tell, phone. For example, she asked me to wait here. I have already answered that question. They told us the truth. Phone me when you arrive. Before going any further, I'd like to say a few words about the verb ask. It is not followed by a preposition when the complement is the person you are talking to. However, it is followed by a preposition, for, when the complement is the thing you are asking for. Look, he asked me for a pen. Consequently, demander quelque chose à quelqu'un will be translated by to ask someone for something. Well, I've said enough for the moment. Now it's your turn to work. The right preposition was at, of course. Some verbs can be followed by 2 or more prepositions. The meaning of the verb will be different according to the preposition used after the verb, as we're going to see now, so be careful. Remember, this is the case for the verb look, which can be followed by at or for, but also by after. And of course, the meaning of the verb changes according to the preposition. To look at, regarder. To look for, chercher. To look after, s'occuper de. Certains verbes très utilisés comme look, care, complain, dream, hear, remind, think, warn, throw, shout admettent plusieurs prépositions. Et bien sûr, le sens de la phrase change en fonction de la préposition utilisée. All these verbs can be followed by 2 or more prepositions. For example, you can say, they are so selfish they don't care about other people. Here, to care about means se soucier de. You can also say, would you care for an ice cream? To care for here means vouloir. And finally, you can say, she takes care of her neighbour's children on Saturdays. To take care of means s'occuper de. You mustn't use a preposition before what, who, when, why. I don't care what you think. Like care, complain can be followed by more than one preposition. He complained to the hotel manager about the noise. He often complains of pain in his back. In fact, you complain to someone about something. Tu te plains de quelque chose auprès de quelqu'un. But when you complain of a pain in your body, you usually complain of it. Tu utilises of lorsque tu te plains d'une douleur. So, what can we say about dream? Let's look at the examples first. Last night, I dreamt about my next holiday. She dreams of being an actress. In the first example, dream about tells us what the speaker dreamt about while he was sleeping. In the second, dream of tells us what the speaker dreams of being or doing. Dream about est utilisé pour traduire ce dont je rêve la nuit, alors que dream of se traduit par ce que je rêve d'être ou de faire. Let's have a look now at the verb hear and its prepositions about, of, from. Here's our first example. Have you heard about the football match on Saturday night? This could be replaced by, has someone told you about the match? Hear about signifie entendre quelque chose à propos de. Here's our example number 2. Have you ever heard of Jimmy Brown? This means, do you know Jimmy Brown? En français, on dirait, est-ce que vous avez entendu parler de Jimmy Brown? And finally, I haven't heard from my cousins since last year. Ceci se traduit par je n'ai pas eu de nouvelles de mes cousins depuis l'année dernière. To remind somebody can be followed by about or of. Look at the examples. You should remind him about tomorrow's meeting. Tu devrais lui rappeler la réunion de demain. He reminds me of a childhood friend. Il me rappelle un ami d'enfance, dans le sens de il me fait penser à un ami d'enfance. From these examples, we can deduce that when you remind somebody about something, you tell him not to forget about something, whereas when you use the preposition of, you call recollections to mind. Avec about, on rappelle quelque chose à quelqu'un pour qu'il ne l'oublie pas, alors qu'avec of, on rappelle des souvenirs à quelqu'un. Like remind, think can be followed by about or of. She looks thoughtful. What is she thinking about? Elle a l'air pensive. À quoi peut-elle penser? Here, think about means that the thinker is considering something. Il ou elle réfléchit à quelque chose. Ensuite, oh, I've just thought of something. Listen. Here, with thought of, the speaker unveils a thought which has just come to their mind. Il révèle une idée qui vient de lui arriver à l'esprit. Of is also used when you give your opinion, pour donner son avis. I don't think much of this film. The verbs shout and throw can be followed either by at or to. He was so furious that he shouted at us. He even threw a chair at us. Or, first, he shouted to us, catch! Then he threw the ball to us. Ici, tout dépend de l'état de la personne. Si elle jette quelque chose avec rage parce qu'elle est en colère et elle veut blesser quelqu'un, il faut utiliser at. Si elle jette quelque chose pour l'envoyer à quelqu'un, pour lui rendre service, pour communiquer, il faut utiliser to. Before tackling the last part of our lesson, let's see if you can answer question 2. At is the correct answer. We've already seen that prepositions are a link between a verb and its complements. Une préposition est un lien entre un verbe et un complément. and this link can change according, most of the time, to the complement. We're now going to look at phrasal verbs. A phrasal verb, un verbe à particule, is a verb which can be followed by a word that can be a preposition, but also an adjective or an adverb. And with phrasal verbs, that word can change not according to the complement, but according to the meaning of the sentence. Si la préposition, l'adjectif ou l'adverbe change, ça ne dépend plus du complément, mais du sens de la phrase. Et en fait, la particule choisie modifie le sens du verbe, ce qui n'était pas vrai pour les prépositions simples. Moreover, a phrasal verb is not necessarily followed by a complement. For example, I was so tired that I couldn't get up. Here are the main words that you can find after a verb: about, along, away, back, by, down, forward, in, off, on, out, over, round, through, up. Some of them are used to express movement. For example, away, back, down, off, round. At 8 sharp, the plane took off. Others are synonymous with stop. Out, for example, put out your cigarette, please. Out can also be used to warn someone of a danger. Look out, watch out, there's a car coming. Down can be used when you want to say that something bad or negative happens. Unfortunately, the factory closed down a few months ago. Forward refers to a future action. We're looking forward to seeing you again. But what I advise you to do is learn some phrasal verbs by heart, because their meaning never changes. For example, come back means revenir, and get up means se lever. One last thing before our last question. When the phrasal verbs have an object, look at the position of the object in the sentence. Regarde où se trouve le complément